I feel pretty sick today, but we're gonna try to record. This is game two of Delial vs. Vid. They've played two games of Open. I didn't catch the first one. Um, but I did check it with the solver. It does look like Delial stuck with his hand and Vid moved. Very clearly a 5-5 based hand. This is the kind of thing you see Vialva run, where the cards have a lot of potential to play off each other's fives, where he picks a number. I'm not saying Vialva would make the hand the exact same way, but you see Vialva build hands of this type, where he picks a number to be able to play off that he thinks the opponent will not have much play off, and sets up accordingly. Game one had a very interesting move order. Vid started in 4, and Deli played 1. All very normal. And then Vid played in 3, and I did a very quick check with the solver just to see, because I'm always skeptical of moves like that. And no, it was just comfortably tying move. Deli played 2, Vid played a double capture in 5 that comboed through 2 to flip 3 back. Deli played in 6, and it was a tie. Alright. Vid starter. How many recaptures you got? You got 2 in each square, but you're very committed. We should note all rules are on. The stipulations are 1 plus card per level. Levels are 5, 7, 8, and 10. No AAs. God, I hate the autocorrect on my thing. It changed that to no ads. No 9-9s, 8-8s, 7-7s, or cards with a 1. So I notice Vid's only recaptures from 4 are with cards with a 5 down. So Deli has all of those covered with Zidane in 7, potentially, right? You could imagine something where Vid can play 4 and set himself up. But let's say we looked at 6-3, 6-7 in 2, right? Vid has no combo in 5 if he captures in 4 with either of his captures. In fact, Deli potentially has a combo in 5 against 7, 5, 5, 9. It's also quite hard for Vid to play in 3 with Zidane, because Deli can combo in 6. Now you might say that gets Zidane out of Deli's hand. That's a major win for Vid, but it's still hard for Vid to capture anything there, because he still doesn't have 7, 5, 5, 9, and 4. And if he plays Marley in 4, 6, 9, 6, 2, and 7 now makes both Marley and 6, 9, 6, 2 safe. Sorry, brain's going as I'm looking at it. I've had a really bad headache for about, I just woke up, but going to bed last night, and I was hoping it would be gone when I woke up, and it's very much not. All right. So I think if you attack this from 2, it's just kind of tricky. I think maybe Vid is okay after 5, 7, 8, 5, and 3. Maybe that's just fine. Yeah, that's probably okay. Okay, I love capturing. How are Vid's recaptures from 2? Well, again, there's only 2 recaptures. This is the problem with having a lot of the same number, is sometimes they're actually pretty bad at flipping each other when there aren't yet cards on the board. But they do look sufficient. Alright, so I think 6, 3, 6, 7, and 2 is reasonably met by 5, 7, 8, 5 in 3. Maybe then A9, 6, 4 emerges. Which capture? Probably in 6. You have 7, 5, 5, 9, and 9 covered with 4, 8, 7, 5, so it might be possible, but it feels dangerous for the opponent. Oh, Marley combos. You always have Zidane back, but they have Zidane in both 4 and 8, so that's Okay, so 6, 3, 6, 7, and 2, not that great. I think 5, 7, 8, 5, and 3 is a good rejoinder. Another? No, that's not very good. Vid has done a good job. He started in 4 last game and won this game of making the game leftward. Delial's hand is not that comfortable going left. Looking at 6-2, 6-9, and 5, I'm not sure why that appeals to me. I don't like moves in 5, but for some reason that move is popping out to me as playable. Um, yeah, I think Vid picked a nice corner to block. I don't love his recaptures. Like, I think something like 6-3, 6-7, and 2 has to be at least a tie for Deli. But, okay. 4-8-7-5 in 3. Logical. I didn't think about doing this, but 4-8-7-5 is a card that's likely to not be very good in Deli's hand. It has no play against the starter. Its corner is blocked. It makes sense to want to get it out of your hand. You also have 6-3, 6-7, and 6 as a kind of comfortable recaptures if needed. And now there is a huge threat for Deli to go into, right? If Deli plays 6-3, 6-7 in 2, that could very easily just be game over. Yeah, I think we saw Vid earlier when he went out to Tezuka, actually. I think. Let's go bring up the move order. In the quarterfinals, Vid played 9, Tezuka played 3. So Vid started 9, Tezuka played 3, Vid played 1, and I really think he needed to block 6. If that's the game I'm thinking it is. I think he could block 6 and tie, and instead he went different. I don't know if this is a pattern where he tends not to take the in-between square. Of course, taking the in-between square has a lot of quite different value by rule set. With combo, it tends to be good to block the in-between square. Without combo, it tends to be terrible to block the in-between square. In open, it tends to be pretty viable. In closed, it tends to be horrendous. Not horrendous, but poor. So there's a lot of variation by rule set in how you want to play the adjacent corners. Where, like, in closed, you usually want to play 7, 8, or 9. In open, 5 becomes more appealing, 2 becomes more appealing. You still almost never want to go 4 or 6, but it's possible in open. You're never going to do that in closed, or virtually never. So I wonder if Vid has a weakness here to adjacent corners, right? I wonder if Vid likes going in 7, 8, or 9 in these positions in spots where he really needs to just get rid of the 2 square. And the way you get rid of 2 is 5, 7, 8, 5, I think. I think that 8 down is just large enough to put some pressure on. Like, you don't do it with Zidane. I don't think. Zidane is safe, but you just have so little play against 3 that it's really important to, I think, flip 3 if you have the chance, just on kind of like a fundamental level. Also, if Zidane in 2, then 6-9, 6-2, and 4 sets up a threatened plus that's quite annoying. Yeah, I like Deli's move, and I think Vid should play 5-7, 8-5, and 2. But I don't know if that's in Vid's style. I don't have a good sense of Vid's style. I think style's a quite interesting thing. Because I think in some ways, style is people like flattering themselves about their weaknesses. I don't think this is the only thing going on with style, but right, like let's say you're in chess, right? All kids want to be attacking players. No kid wants to be anything. That's not true. Most kids are kind of like, ooh, attacking. That's great. And This means in lots of positions that just do not call for attacking, they play attacking moves. And then if you ask them why they made this, you phrase it better, but why they made this horrible move, they will tell you, well, I'm an attacking style player. I'm not going to play the positional or, less exciting move. And so I don't want to read too much into how kids use a term is what it actually means. But it's very clear to see in those instances that style is not really style is a description of the way they make mistakes and the way they find strong moves as well, right? Because some positions that call for attacking, they will correctly go for attacking moves. That doesn't mean they'll make the right ones, but they will be vaguely in the vicinity. And positions that don't call for attacks, they will incorrectly make attacking moves and will not be in the vicinity at all. And so it sort of describes the positions that you are likely to play better and the positions you are likely to play worse. However, a well calibrated player should respond to the needs of the position, and they might be better at one type of position and based on your openings in chess, but here, based on which kind of moves you play, you can get certain types of positions more often. Vid does go in 8. I really didn't think Vid was going to go in 2. 2 is not a square Vid particularly likes, I think. And now I do think Deli should block 2 himself. Now, you'll notice any of Vid's captures in 4. I have to go to the bathroom. Alright, I'll be back in a moment. God, my body is really betraying me today. So I had a thought that might be interesting, which was I think Deli and I both noticed that 2 was a kind of strong square, but I think Vid had 3 in response. And Deli played in 3, creating a much more serious threat in 2, right? I think if I had been playing, I likely would have gone in 2, and the best response was in 3. Deli plays in 3, and the best response is in 2. We found, okay, well, this is off my intended path, but we both found moves that intended to that sort of forced action in the top row. But Deli, I think, made the threat in 2 stronger because there was no 3 in reply, and played a move where it was less likely to get the right response. So I think Deli kind of made the better version. The better version of my move. Excuse me. How did my voice just get worse after coughing? That's weird. Okay. Anyway, normally it goes the other way. Weird. Okay. So I think basically Deli got a press out of the opening. I kind of liked Vid's move in 1, but you can see why when Vialva plays these hands, he tends to play a center starter. Because the cards can play off each other, but they can also be clunky at retaking each other, especially when there's not a wall right next to it. So by playing in the center, you set up a bunch of same walls, of course, and some plus walls, but you also say there's nothing I need to be able to recapture. And even though Deli didn't capture it immediately, he sort of set up to do so. And now his move in 7, he should have some press here, right? This should be a press. This should be a position that's, Vid has to think to tie. Does he, though? Can you just play Zidane in 4? Zidane in 4 might be kind of straightforward, actually. Zidane in 4 makes it 5-5. That's the idea there. Maybe Zidane in 2? But then Vid can just go 6 if he wants. That can't be much, can it? I don't think so. Yeah. I think 2 was the bigger press, right? I think Deli played the opening really well here, but my guess is chose the less pressing move. I'm gonna bring up the solver because I am lazy, but also I have a good excuse today for not wanting to calculate. Alright, so let's put in Vid's hand. I try to evaluate without the solver. When I watch high level chess, sometimes they have the computer analysis available and sometimes they don't. And when they do, it just takes over and they stop actually having like insight on the position. They're in read off the computer line mode. And so they often what they do is they separate the studios. So they have the main studio that's like thinking about the position, and then they jump to the computer guy, and the computer guy is like always so reliably an asshole. They hire the worst people for that, but he'll go like, they'll have been analyzing a line and he'll go, well, no, 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 no. Actually, you want to do this move. And sure, that's obvious with the computer, but like, there should be some synthesis of thinking like, what's humanly findable? How does this make sense? Because the people doing it without the computer have to figure out the position. And the person with the computer, they have this incredible tool, and they should be combining it with trying to think, what would a human actually like? Why does this work? Not just that it does work, but why does it work? So Vid went this move in 8. And Deli does not have a win. So I wanted 6-3, 6-7, and 2. Where he has 6 ties? Wow. Really? Then the rules are right. I thought that was a real press. Okay. There's ties in 4, 6, and 7. Huh? Okay. There you go. I'm full of something. Alright, so that wasn't really a press. There was also Zidane in 2. Let's pretend I was thinking Zidane in 2. No, I wasn't, because you just go Zidane 5. No, I wanted 6-3, 6-7, and 2. Alright, so my move wasn't a press at all. Deli's move is a better press. Zidane 4 does tie, but there's only 2 other moves that tie. What are they? Marley 2, that looks tricky to play. And Marley 6. Ooh, that's not playable. So I think like, okay, maybe you notice mad synergies with Marley 6, but I think Marley 6 is really unlikely. I think Marley 2 is pretty unlikely. Yeah, both of those are setting up Zidane to be a real powerhouse and setting up some plus same synergies, but I think those are hard to find. I think as a human, you find Zidane 4 or you probably lose. So Deli, I think, just played this game better than I would have here. And yeah, one of those things where I'm kind of thinking generally, and I'm sure he's thinking much more specifically to the position, and that leads to playing better. I'm now having the solver check 6-3, 6-7, and 2, because that move was my idea. Because I'm a simpleton who likes captures. So I think Deli did get a press here. I think Vid probably holds, but I think the move in 8 sort of surrendered a press. I should have checked if, also I should check if 5, 7, 8, 5, and 2 after 1, 3, 1, 3, 2. Was that a good move order? Yeah, that was a good move order. Okay. So Vid should have played in 2. Okay, Vid goes 5. Yeah, so I thought Vid would hold. But this is sort of, like, I didn't really get to thinking this, but the reason Marley in 2 or 6 is not a very easy move to find is not because sort of synergy setting up moves are that impossible to find. It's that with a hand like this, there's going to be so many of them, right? Zidane in 5 looks like a better synergy setting up move. He is 7-5, not 5-9 for both 2 and 6, right? There's like, he has Marley for 2. You know, this move has a whole bunch of things going on, and this one's a blunder. So the reason Marley 2 and 6 are hard is just because there's so many moves that look like it, and they're all really a pain to calculate. Like, I find this structure slow and painful to calculate. So I thought he would hold because I thought he would find Zidane in 4, but the other moves I think are like possible to find, but there's no reason to favor them over moves like this. So I think they're quite hard to play in practice, and in practice you got to find Zidane 4 to reliably hold this position. But okay, I'm going to close the solver just so I don't ask it what the answer here is and try to figure it out for ourselves. We know this is winning for Delhi. One obvious thing to do is play a9, 6, 4, and 4. I think, though, a reaction of Marley and 9 should tie, right? Right? How are you going to win there? Say you go Zidane 2, you lock up 1, 2, 4, and 7, but everything else gets comboed. Yeah. You're not winning in 4 here. I don't think. You could avoid flipping 5, actually. What does that get you, though? Like, if you play 6, 3, 6, 7, and 4, don't they still go Marley? You're only going to take a 6-4 lead, right? It's currently 5-5. They still go Marley and 9, and they're always going to flip back 5. You can't flip Marley without flipping 5, or without being weak to 3. Yeah, so 4 is not the answer. Okay. Now, there's no threat in 4, so you probably just shouldn't be looking at blocking 4 anyway. Zidane in 9 is your only capture, and that gets comboed back in 9, and that gets comboed back pretty obscenely. 6, 3, 6, 7 in 9 is interesting, but then Vid just goes 4. So has Deli found 2 or 6? I think 2 and 6 are the right squares. I think you want to block one of those squares, because 4 is kind of dead to Vid. If Vid has to play his last move in 4, he has very little. So I don't remember what card Deli picked up, but Zidane in 6 probably isn't. It's a9, 6, 4. So where would he play a9, 6, 4? 2? Because Vid can only capture one thing back from 4, and then Zidane in 6 is landing. And if Vid starts in 6, then Zidane 9. Yeah, I think Deli's found it, and he found it much quicker than I did. Yeah, he's played 2. You may have seen this at distance. Really high-level game by Deli here, in the sense that, like, I'm obviously, even when not being all that sharp, a pretty high-level player. And I think at every step, Deli has played a bit better than I would have, right? I thought 2 was an obvious press, but 7 was a bigger press when he went 6, 9, 6, 2, and 7. I thought 2 was a solid rejoinder to 1, but I think 3 was a better one. Though I think if Vid goes in 2 there, Vid's probably a little ahead with 5, 7, 8, 5. I think it's Deli who has to be careful there. And I think, Vid could still win the tournament, but one of his takeaways from this tournament should be he lost 2 open games, getting in trouble after not blocking the in-between square against an adjacent corner. That's a pretty actionable thing to start like looking at that move more and thinking about why that move might work. All right, let's start putting the game in the database. Vid Delial 55571 48753 57858 69627. Again, I think Deli's move in 3 was a little better than my move in 2. I think his move in 7 was clearly better than I still wanted to go in 2. 55895, and he's very quick. Deli normally takes like the full time on his turns. He's very quick to find moves like 2. And you can see the game finishing up now. Yeah, a really masterful game from Deli. This might be his best game of the tournament. Um, I think, yeah, and that's cool to see in a finals, right? The unusual square working there, consistently finding moves that were higher pressure by like a clear margin than the moves I was looking at. What would it be instead of this? It might be one of the games he held the tie against Akiyama. One of his ties was out of the L structure with cards in 1, 4, 7, and 8. He played this brilliant tie in 3 that I would not have found. Of course, to get to that position, it's not so good, but that's his best move of the tournament. But I think this is his best overall game of the tournament, where he consistently found higher pressure options and was quicker to find the win than I was looking at stuff, and like substantially so. And I always think that's really impressive. Not just like he found different moves or he found the same moves faster, but like he just found better moves. Um, really strong win for Delial. He takes a 1-0 lead in the finals, but the Open is out of the way. And while Vid is, of course, an elite Open player, my video on the greatest tournament ever won. I have some video that came out recently that considers Nanaki kind of the ultimate historical tournament, or one of them, and Vid wins it. Vid won it, and that was a very difficult Open tournament. But I think even more than being a top tier Open player, Vid is a top tier closed hand player specifically. And I think this is a skill that is really interesting and not that often rewarded. But in the tournaments that have it, Vid reliably does very, very well. Many deep runs in closed tournaments, including winning SE Garland, and a bunch of solid runs in TTAC. I just think he's one of the absolute best at this format. And we'll have to see if Deli will be more hand adaptive than he sometimes is. I think this is still a really up in the air spot, right? This was the set that Deli was favored, right? Clearly favored. I don't know who's favored on the other sets, and there is a case that it is Vid. Deli is, of course, a very good close player. All you have to do is look at the GB results. But I think Vid has a particular skill at closed hand play, and I'm not sure where I think Deli is there. Deli is great at all formats of Triple Triad, that's just a fact, but Vid might be even better in this one. So, still very much up in the air, I think, but really happy for Deli, and I think a really well played win.